Hi guys, Will Terry here with another video, and this one is going to be entitled Art Teachers, the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. And before I get going on that, I just want to let you know that you can always contact me on Twitter at WillTerry333. On Facebook, I use my personal account at Will Terry, and I live here in Utah, and I have links below for website and things like that. So, all right, disclaimer before I get going on this one. This is a touchy subject, and I am definitely not looking to make any enemies, but I do want to bring awareness, and I want to empower the art students and basically give a message that you don't have to settle. So what do I mean by art teachers, the good, the bad, and the ugly? I'm talking about, I guess I basically put teachers into one of three categories. The good, and that speaks for themselves. Good art teachers teach principles, give good critiques, give solid, concrete answers. The bad don't know how to teach, but are good artists themselves, so they know how to do, but they just don't, for one reason or another, they don't transmit that or translate that to their students, and don't share their ideas. Sometimes that's out of fear. Sometimes it's because they don't want to create clones, and so they're not willing to teach you what they know because they're holding on to what they've learned like there's some great mystery or some great secret, and there's not. And that's that scarcity mentality and not that abundance mentality that actually, when you give more, you get more, that idea. And then the ugly are the people who don't know how to teach and aren't good artists themselves, so they really don't have any foundation to be able to teach from. And so I want to kind of explore those. Now, before I do, I want to give a pass to junior high and high school and elementary school art teachers. I taught in a high school for a couple years, taught high school art. And one of the things that happens in high school, as you most of you are probably aware, is that the teachers have no control over their classroom. They don't have control over who is sent to them, disciplinary problems and such like that. It's treated as a blow-off class a lot of times, and they're overcrowded. There's no way that you can teach. It goes back to that old saying: the teacher will appear when the student has arrived. The teacher will appear. And if the students aren't there wanting to learn, there's nothing you can do. So I'm talking more to college students or college teachers and art school teachers, simply because hopefully by that time, and mostly, if somebody's picking art as their major, they have some interest in doing art, and then you're not dealing with the disciplinary problems because people are grown up. So that's kind of what I wanted to, as a kind of a disclaimer, I want to give a pass to those guys and say, look, you're dealing with a lot that's out of your control. So it's nice when high school teachers can do a really good job. But even, stay tuned, because there's a message in this for you too. But accountability wise, I think it's pretty clear. So here's some things that I wrote down. Things that I constantly hear from students of mine, both at the university, because I teach at UVU, and online where we teach at svslearn.com. And so here's some of the things I hear from students who have been to art school or been to college. I hear things like their teachers are chronically late to class, just always late. If you're a teacher and you're always late to class, you're stealing from your students. That's just the way it is. Those students have paid for a certain amount of time, and in university and art classes and in art school classes, the class periods are longer, typically because you need more time to set up your paints or set up whatever it is you're working on, get your computer ramped up and loaded up. It's not like you come into a lecture class for an hour and the teacher can just deliver a message. There's set up, and some teachers will say, well, I'm waiting for him to set up and stuff. But then, a lot of times it's just you're late to class and the students are sitting there waiting. That's theft, in my opinion. Another one is being absent often, just not being there and canceling class. And there's the funny thing about that one is it's usually the same teachers that are canceling the same amount of classes, and they know what they can get away with. So they're like treated as days off sometimes. And this goes on. I can get away with this. I don't have to show up. I can not come to school X amount of times, so I'm going to take those days. Again, that's theft. Showing up late and then disappearing during class to run errands or whatever, just disappearing and being gone during class, where the students are kind of left to themselves. If you're paying tuition, you don't have to. You kind of need a teacher there. It's like you could be painting on your own, but you chose to go to art school or you chose to go to college because you're hoping that someone's going to be there to help you and to show you what to do while you're working. And if a teacher's constantly gone during class, there's not a whole lot of teaching going on. Another one is showing up on time but with no lesson. Where it's like, just go paint, just go do your thing, and we just kind of show up, and this is like a club. It's not a club. You're the teacher, and the teacher is supposed to teach a lesson. Another one that I've heard this a lot is, I'm only going to critique the good work. That's what the teacher will say sometimes. Well, this other work is so bad, I'm not even going to critique it. Well, you know what that's like. Taking over and doing a critique of good work is a lot like taking over for a pilot with an airplane that's just flying nice and level. That's easy. It's easy to say a lot of things about a painting that's working out. It's easy to compliment it, and it's easy to make a few pointers that will actually steer it into a better path when it's already working really good. When it's diving and crashing, it's one of the hardest things to do is to critique it, but that student paid the same amount of tuition. So that student deserves your fullest attention, and you might have to take some steps backwards and slow the whole class down a little bit to bring that person up to speed, or tell that person what they need to be practicing to get up to speed. But they need to know, they can't just be told, well, I'm not even going to critique it. Well, then what do? That's lazy. Again, I think it's theft. Another one is, and this is one that I hear all the time, and I've heard this when I was a student, I'll know it when I see it. Okay, well, that's great for you as a teacher. You'll be excited when you see something good, but if you don't, then what? You don't say anything at all. I'll know it when I see it. That's not helpful for a student. Another one is, you got to just try harder. Now, there's a difference between encouraging someone and telling them, because I tell my students all the time when they're being lazy, and I try to help them understand that a lot of times they have more time that they're wasting, and that they need to spend more time working. So I'm not saying if you tell a student to try harder that you're being lazy. But if you, in a critique, if you're just saying, you need to try harder, and that's all the information that you're giving, that's not going to cut it. And then there's those kind of comments that you hear, do what feels right. You get a lot of this in some art programs. Express yourself. Do what feels right. Paint from within. Paint your feelings and things like that. That's all those things. Those things of expression. Those are things that everyone needs to do, but they need to do it through the rules. They need to do it through the rules of design, and expressing themselves will come out as they follow and understand the principles and the rules of design. Without it, everyone has seen paintings where people are just making a lot of brush strokes, and there's no form, there's no direction, and there's really nothing going on in the end of the day. And so yeah, that's lazy. Another comment: some people just get it. So that's saying that that's a teacher saying, well, if you just don't get it, then you're not in the club. You don't understand, so you're not an artist. Everyone is an artist to some extent. Everyone, and I'm not just saying that to make people feel good. Everybody can express themselves in some way or another. It might not be in visual arts, but we're all artists in some way. So to say, well, you just don't get it, well, that's because we need to be taught what it is to get. So that's, again, very lazy. And a lot of teachers get away with that because it makes them feel good. It makes them feel like they've got their little club around them. And it's easier because then you don't have to go back and teach those principles. If someone's not getting it, it's hard work to get them to get it. So that's lazy. Another one, and this is one that I think, because we're moving into a technology age, is not using technology to your benefit, not using the technology that's available today because you're lazy and you're not learning technology. So right now, something that's changed in the last, I think the first class that I taught at a university level was about probably like 19 or 20 years ago. And back then, we didn't have a Cintiq monitor, we didn't have any tablets or anything like that. But with that technology now, if students send in a scan of their work, you can draw right over top of it. You don't have to talk about it verbally. You can show them what's going wrong in a painting, what you would do differently. Now, there's suggestions. It's not necessarily concrete things, but you can offer visual suggestions. And we're visual people as artists. So not taking advantage of technology because you don't know how to use Photoshop, or you don't know how to use a Cintiq monitor, or it seems too difficult and you're a traditional artist. Again, I think that's kind of lazy. I do know of a teacher one time who actually even told his students that as an artist, you can't make any money. So you're just kind of wasting your time, and has done that more than once. That if you have that attitude and you're an art teacher, you really should quit. You have no business being in a position of leadership and being in a position to inspire the kids who have placed all their hopes and dreams in your lap. Projecting your failures on your students, they're going to see right through it, and they're not going to respect you anyway. So I want to talk about. So those are just some of the things. I probably missed some, but I want to talk about why in the visual arts teachers are allowed to teach like this or not teach, whereas in other forms of art, there's no way they would ever get away with it. The visual arts are unique in that we have super lazy teachers that are getting away with murder, in my opinion. So let's look at drama. Drama students. You can't just say, I'll know it when I see it in drama class, because you will create with the plays that you're creating, you will end up creating a play that everyone will hate, and word will get around, and your job might actually be in danger. So there are rules in drama, right? You have to look at the you can't look at the camera, right? And if you look at the camera, or if you're not looking at the person you're speaking at, you're going to get corrected. If you don't own the role, if your timing is off, if you're not projecting, if you said your line's wrong, or if you said your line's too fast, or if you mumbled or stuttered, whatever, then you're going to get corrected by your teacher, and you're going to get taught how to do it more accurately. In fact, a lot of times the teacher will get up on stage and do your part and show you another way to do it. And then of course we've got writing, and that we've been taught writing since we were in elementary school. And there's rules of grammar and punctuation and working from outlines and rough drafts and sentence structure, paragraph structure. In a paragraph, you have topic sentence, body sentences, and concluding sentences. And there are tons of rules in writing and tons of rules in expressing your ideas in an organized way. And when you don't do it accurately, you get your paper marked back up with a red pencil or red pen. And so writing is another art form. It's a creative outlet. It's creative expression. Tons of rules. What about dance? If you're off of your rhythm, if your timing's off, if your gesture's wrong, if you're not exaggerating when you're supposed to exaggerate those gestures, you are not going to be looked at as a good dancer. If you're not fit, if you can't bend the way that you're supposed to bend, you won't make the dance team. You won't get picked to be on a show or something like that if you can't dance right. There are rules of dance and performing arts. Same with stand-up comics. Those guys are artists, and there are rules of timing as well for comedians. Music is full of rules. Timing, notes, intonation, crescendos. If you're a composer, the rules of arrangement and design still apply just like they do in the visual arts. So it's interesting to me that in the visual arts, we don't seem to have standards. There are standards, but a lot of teachers don't observe them. A lot of teachers don't seem to know them. A lot of teachers don't seem to want to teach them or care to learn more. But it's interesting to me that we all know bad art when we see it. Like if you saw the movie Sucker Punch, which got, I think it's like 13% on Rotten Tomatoes now. Beautiful movie, beautiful visual effects, but a horrible storyline. You know when someone's playing off key. You know when someone can't dance. So in art, we judge some art as black and white. That is good. That is bad. But for some reason in the visual arts, it's like, oh, I really like the feeling that you're getting with that. When we inside, it's not doing anything for us, but we've learned this lingo of giving people a pass and giving teachers a pass and giving students a pass and just talking about, oh yeah, I really like this. I really think that you're expressing yourself when really the thing sucks, So, and I'm not saying that you need to tell someone that their art sucks. I'm not saying that that's a good thing to do. I think you should always, when you're giving a critique, figure out a way to compliment someone for the things that they're doing right and to give them suggestions, not you need to do this, you must do that. This is what I think as an artist will make that better. And because I care about you as an artist, I'm going to give you my best advice on this. And I have to thank certain people for giving me really good critiques in my life. I have had some really good art teachers, some teachers that have really taught me some really good principles. And I've mentioned this on a previous video, probably over a year ago, that I got a critique one time from the Caldecott winner, David Small, who he basically said, I'm not sure that you really want a critique from me. And I said, well, why not? And he says, because I am too old to mess around and to pussyfoot around and to try to make you feel good by telling you how much I love your art. Of course, there's things that I'm going to love about your art, but I'm going to find some things that I think you really need to work on. So if you want a critique from me, I'm just going to tell you the things I think you need to work on, and I'm not going to pull any punches. And I was like, whoa. And inside I was like, run. You don't really want a critique from this guy, but I didn't want to chicken out either, And so I said, sure, give me a critique. And so about a week later, he called me up and we talked, and he said, why in the world do you use so much damn color in all of your illustrations? And it hit me hard, because that's exactly what I was trying to do, was use tons of color everywhere. He's like, would you like to watch a movie where it's the action level is on 10 the whole time and there's no rest spots? I'm like, no, I don't. He's like, well, that's what you're doing with color. You're screaming from every part of your picture is screaming color when you're not giving any emphasis to the focal point. You're stealing all that emphasis on every single page. You're not building up to any kind of a crescendo. And man, he hit it so hard on the head. But it was hard at the time to take. But that's exactly what I needed to hear, and it's made a big impact in the way that I use color now. I mean, he was totally right, spot on. We need that, and we need honesty, and we need clear-cut standards, and they're out there. The principles of design are out there. I have met art teachers who have told me that they were never taught, that they never knew there were actual principles of art to judge art by, and some of them have taken our classes at SVS, and they have been amazed, and they've said, how come I never learned this in college? Well, I have a theory on that, and I think that the reason that a lot of times art teachers, both in college and in high school and even in junior high and elementary school, never learn these principles, is because the not teaching has been passed down to some people. Now, again, there are amazing teachers in college. There are amazing teachers in high school. There are amazing teachers at every level. That's why I call this the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm not looking to make any enemies here. I'm sure that this is going to piss some people off to hear this, especially if you fall into the bad or the lazy or the ugly category. And that's tough, because if that's you, then this is a video of how I feel about that. That doesn't mean that you have to stay there. You can get better. When I first taught art, I was lousy at it. I was horrible at it. I fit into one of those last two categories. In fact, I was probably the bad or the ugly, because I didn't know the principles of design. I didn't know a lot of them. I knew some of them, but I didn't know a lot of them. And I was a bad art teacher when I first started out, but I had to learn somewhere. So some people might be in those categories, but maybe they're moving up. And I think as long as you're moving up, you are in a good spot. It's the people that have given up and who have taken the easy road, where they show up and teaching is a job and that's it, and they don't care about their students and they just want their paycheck and they want to go home. You're ruining lives if you're doing that. That is not what we're here for. So back to the accountability thing. You go to your high school. Let's start back there, or even in junior high. You have a music concert. The teacher that's teaching the music class has a concert where parents and grandparents and family and friends are going to all show up and fill the auditorium at the end of the semester, at the end of the year. If the band or the orchestra sounds horrible, it reflects poorly on the teacher. People are going to say, we might need a new music teacher, because there's accountability. Same with the drama teacher. If the play sucks year after year and people hate going to it, that drama teacher's job might be in danger. We know about writing because we get graded on that, and there's accountability there constantly. There are rules and they're taught, and we're actually tested on it. So there's no question that there's accountability for English teachers. I never had an art show where we filled the auditorium with parents, where people got dressed up and grandparents came, and there was just a huge amount of people. We never had that, and I'm sure that most don't have an art show at their high school that is as well attended and where there's accountability. And if they do they stop and talk about each piece that the kid did, like a performance, like they do in music? Do they hold up a piece and say, now let's look at this piece here? How many of you guys like this? Do you want to clap for this one? Go ahead and clap, or don't clap. There's no accountability in the visual arts. There is accountability when visual artists go to get a job, because they either get a job or they either sell their art or they don't. So that's sad to me, that the time when they finally get accountability is when the job is on the line, that there hasn't been a lot of accountability all the way up, leading up to that. That's tragic, in my opinion. And I see a lot of people that are trying to get into children's publishing, into comics, into animation, and they'll send me their portfolio work on Facebook, or they'll send me a piece, and I can't. I'm going to apologize right now, because I get tons of mail every day. I get people asking me to look at their portfolios, and I don't have time to do that. But every now and then I do. I'll see something, or they'll send me an image and I'll see it. And I'll see that I can tell that they don't know, that they're not exhibiting these principles of design and drawing and craftsmanship and things like that. And so I might ask them sometimes, where did you go to school? Well, I don't have the money, or I wasn't able to go to school, or I went to school in something totally different. And that's fine. And you don't have to go to school to become a really good artist. But the main thing that you need to understand, one of the things that I'm hoping to get across in this video, is there are standards, there are design principles out there. If you didn't learn them and you're looking at your work and you're not improving year after year after year, it could be because you don't know what to work on. You don't know what is going wrong in your piece. And that's one of the things that we really try to stress and really try to teach at our online school, svslearn.com. This is kind of a self-promotion plug for that school. But there are many great schools out there online right now. And there's many great art schools, traditional art schools too. There's a big debate going on right now on the internet of, is our art school tuitions worth it or not? And I don't think that you can make a case definitively and say going to art school is a waste of money, or going to art school is the best way to become a professional. You can find examples from people who have gone to art school, both on a university level and an art school, a professional art school, where they have placed a lot of their graduates, or their graduates have found really good jobs, or are making a really good living doing something in the arts, in publishing or in animation or even in gallery work or something, even graphic design, just a ton of different things that they could be doing with those degrees and with that training. And you can also find lots of people who never went to art school who are doing really well. I think what you're going to start seeing is a lot of people who are learning online, or who are doing a mixture of learning online and going to school. We've actually had a lot of students who have gone to a traditional program, but who have come to us to take some specific classes that they felt like they needed to improve on. And we've developed a really good relationship with some of those people. I think going forward in the future, you're going to see a big mix, and I don't think you're going to see. I think the waters are going to be fairly murky and muddy as far as what's the right thing for me to do, for you. But I think that being connected and talking to people online is one of the best bets. Look, we live in a time right now where the internet can expose the lazy art teacher or lazy person in any profession. The people aren't going to be able to get away with what they used to, because you have access to YouTube, you have access to all kinds of resources online, and the information is flowing freely right now. So the old system of being able to show up to class and do whatever you want to do and not worry about the students, I think that time is going to slowly fade away and kind of crumble away, because I think a lot of these teachers aren't going to survive as students hold them accountable, and I hope that happens. Again, I'm not looking to make a lot of enemies, and I look forward to reading your comments. I read every single comment. Sometimes, I've got a lot of videos out there right now. I can't get to all of them. I don't get to respond to all of them, but I try to read all of them. And it'd be interesting to see what you guys think. That's it for this video, and I hope to see you on my next one.